This conference is sponsored and organized by SCSU Social Responsibility Master Degree Program, teaching knowledge and skill for social justice, peace, environment, and animals. If you find this conference interesting, please check out the Master Degree Program on the way. Please fill out your evaluation for this session and give them to collectors at the end of the session. If you don't have any evaluation form, you can get one from me. And now I'm honored to introduce this session, the printed program for detailed aquatic and terrestrial invasive program species by Ecology Club. Thank you.
Well, hello everyone. Thank you for coming. My name is Devon Bowker. I am the president of the Ecology Club.
My name is Renee Martin. I'm the vice president of the Ecology Club.
I'm Erica Nines. I'm the news chair.
I'm Joe Weaver, and I'm the president.
So, as she said, we're here to talk about aquatic and terrestrial invasive species. We'll start off with some general information here. The USDA classification for invasive species means an alien species whose introduction does or is likely to cause economic or environmental harm or harm to human health. So examples would be non-native plants outside the range of habitat, ones that are able to germinate and establish and thrive in self-sustained population, typically overcome environmental barriers, and typically causing negative impact. Environmental, economically, human health impact, or negative impact in general outweighing their benefit. As far as environmental impact is concerned, kind of depends. Many are direct effects, preying and feeding. Being introduced into an environment where there are animals that typically do not have a predator, you're introducing a predator to the environment, or even in the case of introducing something that is typically prey, but therefore it's competing with other animals that are used for prey for food, shelter, things like that. Let's see. Other direct effects include, like I said, outcompeting for food, nutrients, light, hybridizing, decreasing federally threatened endangered species, and even common populations. As far as indirect effects are concerned, you have changes in ecological processes, changes of frequency and intensity of wildfires, which is more along the plant line, and then altering erosion rates, altering soil chemistry, and even altering the hydrology of rivers, lakes, and streams. As far as the financial economic impact, a lot of big numbers here. This is cost in millions. Obviously, these are all related to invasive species. Number one being plants is the most expensive, followed by mammals, birds, fish, arthropods like ants, termites, mollusks. The zebra mussel is the most expensive. And then microbes, such as plant pathogens. Overall, it costs about $136 billion a year. It is an international problem. Invasive species have no borders. That's part of why they're invasive. They can spread anywhere, overcoming barriers. The current estimates are that damage is at about 5% of the world economy. So that's 1.4 trillion US dollars. That is actually equal to the value of China's gross domestic production for 2010. So, big amount. This slide here, it kind of just describes, in general, things that are threatening or endangering species across the globe. As you can see, the number one causes habitat degradation and loss. But number two, that's invasive species. That's even higher than pollution, disease, and overexploitation.
What do you mean by overexploitation?
That's a good way to explain that. So, can you think of a way to explain that? Yeah, just overusing resources. So
Too many species, not enough resource.
Yeah, kind of. For instance,
Would agriculture be good?
agriculture is very
So,
good.
like, think of all
So, why study biological invasions? Well, number one, because of the consequences. They threaten our biodiversity. Obviously, they're costly, as you can see, and they're very widespread. They also provide very unique opportunities for research. Very good for researching community ecology, animal behavior, and evolution. Characteristics of invasive species. Having a general diet and habitat requirements. Many species have very specific nutrient requirements, things that they only eat. Invasive species are very general, especially in things like mammals and things, feral pigs. They're pretty omnivorous. They don't have a specific thing to eat, so they can outcompete a lot of other animals for those resources. Having high abundance, small body size, high reproductive potential. We're going to talk about zebra mussels later. They're a good example for that. When they lay their larvae, up to 40,000 at a time. Good competitors and social or gregarious. So, how do they invade? Some are deliberately. Naturalization societies bringing in animals from other regions. Shakespeare fans, which you'll get an explanation for that later. Game animals or domestic animals, and by domestic animals, it's typically things that were brought in and then they escape or freed from captivity, and then do their thing. And some are accidental. They're brought in the bows of ships, unprocessed wood, fruit shipments, or the just in general bypassing their natural barriers. So you have your stages of invasion. One is your opportunity, that's the transport, whether human transport or just environmental. Establishment, and then the spread. As far as the idea for success of an individual species, there are a few ideas behind that. That is, one reason that they could be so successful in a different area rather than their natural areas because they've now escaped natural enemies such as predators. Now they have an increased competitive ability compared to the native species, or they're pre-adapted to disturbed environments. And then now we'll move on to terrestrial plants.
Good afternoon. I'll give you some examples of terrestrial plants that are found in Minnesota and across the country. First one is spotted knapweed. This is a perennial plant that grows in a rosette pattern right here. First, and then bolts to about 1 to 3 feet tall. Flowers are pink, purple, and they appear like this. The leaves are grayish, hairy, and deeply cut with narrow lobes. Their ecological threat includes that they invest a variety of habitats such as savannas, grasslands, prairies, and sand dunes. They outcompete native species. They reduce native plant and animal biodiversity. They also degrade soil and water resources by increasing erosion and surface runoff. The next one is common tansy. This is pretty common around here. I've actually seen it outside my apartment. It grows about 2 to 5 feet tall. The leaves resemble ferns. They have 2 leaflets that are deeply divided by irregular lobes. There are many flowers. Yellow flowers that are button-like and they are clustered at the head. Roots. The reason why this plant is such a problem is because the rhizomes in the roots they reproduce vegetatively. So if you don't get all the meristem, it'll grow back the next year. This was originally brought over for cultivation in gardens because it's pretty, and it's also used as tansy tea, which back in the day that was used as a birth control method because of the alkaloid quinine. As an ecological threat, this grows well under varied environmental conditions, establishing itself in disturbed sites such as roadsides, ditches, and pastures. It grows in dense stands and inhibits growth of desirable vegetation, and also contains that alkaloid that is good for livestock and humans. Another one that we see commonly around Minnesota is buckthorn. There are 2 types of buckthorn that are considered aggressive. There's common buckthorn and glossy buckthorn. Common buckthorn over here has a bark that's brown and silver when young, and then when it matures, the bark turns dark gray to scaly black. The twigs, often known as stout thorns, and the leaves are mostly opposite from each other. The glossy buckthorn, the bark is gray and has brown lentils, and it lacks the thorns that you find on common buckthorn. The leaves are mostly an alternate pattern. Boom, boom. Top branch from buckthorn will expose a yellow sapwood and orange heartwood. All you have to do is peel off the branch and you see orange, you got buckthorn. It's originally brought over from Europe in the mid-1800s for use as heavy material in backyards and gardens. Ecological threat for buckthorn is that it forms dense thickets within the understory of woods and crowds out and shades out native vegetation. I mean, if you go into the woods nowadays, you can't see through it at all. However, if you go into woods that was 30 years ago, you can see it looked like a movie picturesque scene. Beyond thistles, there are 4 types of thistles that are invasive in Minnesota. There's the bowl thistle, the European marsh thistle, the musk thistle, and the plumeless thistle. First year pattern, these are biennial, so they have 2 different forms, the first year form and a second year form. First year, the growth pattern is in a rosette pattern. The second year, it bolts into several flowering stalks. The plumeless and the bowl thistle grow about 1 to 5 feet tall, the European marsh reaches 6 feet, and the musk thistle can reach 7 feet. Basically, the best way to tell a invasive thistle from a natural thistle is just by touching the stem. If it's smooth, it's a native thistle. If it's close to your hand, it's invasive. These colonized, disturbed areas are susceptible to invasion by ditches, roadsides, meadows, and prairies. They choke out their native vegetation by outcompeting for resources through extensive taproot. Next one is kudzu, which is also known as the vine that took us up. It was introduced in the U.S. in 1876